Now this is a weird one. Mist Valleys appeared first in 5Ds because, you know, they're a synchro spam archetype, but the duelist who used them remained unnamed. It was one random dude during the WRGP, but the actual named duelist who used them actually appeared in the Zexal era, which is this guy named Taiki. So yeah, quite weird if I do say so myself. But anyway, Mist Valleys are most prominently known as the dual terminal archetype focused on synchro spamming, and their primary gimmick is self-bouncing. So yeah, that should speak for itself. But yeah, let's actually take a bit of a deeper look and yeah, start off this analysis starting with a vanilla monster of all things, that being Mist Valley Watcher, which is a level 4 with 1500 attack and 1900 defense. He's there, he's watching you, he's waiting for your call to, if you're planning to utilize a Mist Valley Rescue Rabbit deck. Otherwise I wouldn't even bother. Alright, now let's go on to this properly. We have our first monster, that being Mist Valley Baby Rock. This is a level 2 with 400 attack and 600 defense. It's a tuner monster, and when this card is sent directly from the hand to the graveyard, you can special summon it. Yeah, this effect is fairly similar to one other monster from the dual terminal, that being the fabled Cerebrel, I think that's what he's called. Anyway, he also has a similar effect to where he's milled from the deck to the graveyard. You can special summon him. So yeah, I would have loved it if this thing also had that kind of effect, since both of them are tuners, but yeah, it works regardless. You're going to have wind monsters in the hand anyway, since you're going to be returning them to the hand anyways, but it can also work for some monsters which require discard fodder, or wind monsters as discard fodder. So yeah, we'll get to some of their more well-known variants when we get to their spell and trap support, and by I mean spell and trap support, they only have 2 field spells by the spell and trap support and nothing else. So yeah, mostly we have monsters. Next up we have their last level 2, Mist Valley Windmaster. Once per turn, if both players have 5 or more cards in their hand, you can activate this effect to make both players send cards from their hand to the graveyard until they have 4 cards. I understand where this little fellow is coming from, but again, it is an archetype focused on bouncing stuff back to the hand, but consider the following. This effect lets your opponent freely choose which card he wants to send to the graveyard by this effect, and yeah, it's not really, I mean, you can trigger this effect on Rock, so you can special summoning, but yeah, not gonna happen anytime soon. And yeah, this is also a level 2 tuner, so that's basically its only redeeming quality, having 200 more defense than Mist Valley Baby Rock, and oh boy. Anyway, now we go move on to their level 3 tuner, Mist Valley Shaman. Yeah, this is a very famous one due to its censorship. Anyway, once per turn you can return one other monster you control to the hand to have this card gain 500 attack until the end phase. You tried. This is... I don't know what to even call this. The attack boost is, I mean, tolerable for a level 3 tuner of all things, but again, you can trigger the effects of all their other cards in the archetype, but a measly attack boost isn't something I'd want, so yeah, I'd say don't run this one, or at least run by preference. Next up we have their final level 3, Mist Valley Thunderbird, our first non-tuner if we exclude Watcher. When this face-up card on the field returns to the hand, you can special summon it. This card cannot attack during the same turn it was special summoned by this effect. It's pretty alright. Well, like I said, the archetype is focused on returning stuff to the hand. There's even a certain higher level monster which really benefits from this kind of effect. So yeah, Mist Valley Thunderbird is a definite staple in Mist Valley builds, and one of their field spells, well, both of their field spells can heavily benefit from this. So yeah, great card. Next up we have our first level 4 Mist Condor. You can special summon this card by returning one face-up Mist Valley monster you control to the hand. If you do, this card's attack becomes 1700. Yeah, this is also a pretty nice staple. Simple special summoning condition. It isn't limited to a once per turn even. And you can also proc the Mist Valley Thunderbird's effect multiple times, because Mist Valley Thunderbird also isn't once per turn. So, great card. Really great card overall, and should always be ran at 3. Another 3-off staple is Mist Valley Falcon, a 2000 attack beatstick, also a level 4, and its only effect is that it cannot declare an attack unless you return one card you control to the hand. Keep in mind, any card, including spell and trap cards, and including non-Mist Valley monsters, which opens up a ton of versatility options for this thing's bouncing effect. So yeah. It's basically a secondary version of Zephyros the Elite, which is very welcome in this deck, mind you. So yeah, run 3 at all times. Next up we have our final level 4, which is also a tuner, Mist Valley Soldier. While you control this face-up card, any opponent's monster that battles this card, which is not destroyed by that battle, returns to its owner's hand at the end of the damage step. I mean, it's a fine effect, but you're rarely going to be ramming level 4s into things in order to... I mean, if you're in for this kind of effect, then you might as well just run Moon Mirror Shield to instantly destroy those monsters rather than return them to the hand. So yeah, that's basically that. Anyway, next up we have Mist Valley Executor. A level 5 with 2100 attack, and when this card is normal summoned, return all face-up spell and trap cards on the field to their owner's hands. Yeah, this is a pretty potent form of removal of nasty floodgates, so yeah. But it's bogged down by the fact that you specifically have to normal summon this card. Thankfully you do not have to tribute summon it, so yeah. It's open for experimentations with various level reduction effects, so yeah. Also, this thing is a thunder type monster for some imbecilic reason, while all the other monsters, with the exception of Mist Valley Thunderbird, are winged beasts. So yeah, that's also a bit of a weird factor there. Their semi-final main deck monster is Rock from the Valley of Haze, the adult version of Baby Rock. Anyway, it has a similar effect even. It's our first level 6, and when this card is sent directly from your hand to the graveyard, add this card to the deck and shuffle it. A level 6 outstanding Dog Marin. First time I've ever seen that, and yeah. It's basically a Mist Valley Madolche monster in disguise, and it's not worth the effort, so I'd say avoid this one. Anyway, now we move on to their final main deck monster, which is Mist Valley Apex Avian, an abomination of itself. Once per chain, when a card or effect is activated, quick effect, you can target one Mist Valley card you control, return that target to the hand, and if you do, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. This barely saw any competitive relevance before, but since the arrival of the Pendulum era, every single Pendulum deck has started running this because of this thing's obnoxiously easy negation effect. Because you can Pendulum summon this thing. Oh, I should probably mention before, Mist Valleys don't have very much in the way of tribute fodder unless you open up with a Thunderbird and the Condor in your hand. So yeah, you're basically going to be Pendulum summoning this thing, then returning this thing back to the hand in order to negate it, and then Pendulum summon it onto the next turn. So yeah, it's a fantastic boss monster for the Mist Valley archetype when it comes to the main deck. So yeah, great card. Next up we have Mistbird Clausulus. It's a level 3 which they can only summon with some outside support since the archetype does not have any level 1 monsters. Anyway, it's a level 3 with 0 attack and 2300 defense points. And it's this monster that appeared in 5Ds and was used by that nameless duelist. Anyway, requires 1 tuner and 1 or more non-tuner monsters, and once per turn you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls. Its attack becomes 0, and if it does, its effects are negated. These changes last until the end of this turn. This is, to give it a name, the synchro version of Gorgonic Guardian, which is a lot more generic since it requires basically any non-tuner and any tuner monster. And yeah, it can zero out the opponent's the attack of the opponent's monster and shut down their effects, which is a pretty awesome effect to have. So yeah, great card to consider having in your deck, since you can also link it away when you're done with using it. So yeah, great card overall. Next up we have Mist Valley Thunderlord, our level 7, requires a tuner and 1 or more non-tuner Mist Valley monsters, and once per turn you can select one card you control, return it to the hand, and this card gains 500 attack until the end phase. This effect can be activated during either player's turn. Duloran, this ain't. Yeah, it has the exact same activation conditions and effect as Duloran, although it is better than him due to the fact that I think Duloran's effect isn't a quick effect. However, it's limited to a once per turn, and you can only bounce back one card, as opposed to Duloran letting you bounce back as many cards you control. So yeah, not to mention Duloran being way easier to summon. Yeah, Duloran's also limited to a once per turn, but like I said, he allows you to do more for the price of summoning one, which is the reason why he is currently limited, because the sheer amount of degenerate and infinite loops he can produce is downright insane. And if you pair up 2 or more of the Lorens, then it could easily end to some very, very nasty shenanigans. This isn't a bad card, but the effect is very heavily underutilized because of its restrictions. So yeah. However, the boss monster more than makes up for it. This is Mistworm, ladies and gentlemen, a level 9 with 2500 attack and 1500 defense. A bit of a very low stats for a level 9, if I do say so. 1 tuner and 2 or more non-tuner monsters it requires. And if it is synchro summoned, you can target up to 3 cards your opponent controls and return them to the hand. Yeah, this was for the longest time a pretty sick playmaker until Trishula eventually came back up from the ban list. And yeah, it was it has the exact same summoning conditions as Trishula, has a bit more lower stats, but it still couldn't compare to the usefulness of Trishula, since Trishula's area of expertise was a lot more wider than this thing. But still, the quality of this thing is noticed. So yeah, great card, and it should and you should always put it into your Mist Valley deck when you build your deck, when you construct any form of variant. Now for their 2 field spells, their last 2 support cards. The first of which you might have heard several times throughout this show, or basically if you're an expert Yu-Gi-Oh player, then you might have at least heard of this. This is Divine Wind of Mist Valley, ladies and gentlemen. And it has the effect: once per turn, if a wind monster you control returns to the hand except during the damage step, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower wind monster from your deck. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the only effect this field spell has, and it's enough to be limited, because there are just so many good cards that can literally take advantage of this. I've even seen Speedroids run this thing, for God's sake. Speedroids of all things, which have no relevance with Mist Valleys whatsoever, because yeah, The cards that most primarily are used with this are Harpy's Dancer and, well, basically all the other Harpies, since they also have a fair share and a number of cards which can bounce things back to the hand in order to make the best use out of this thing. And special summoning from the deck is, like I said, one of the most valued ways you can special summon monsters these days, so yeah. It's a fantastic card. And the final card is their other field spell, Shrine of the Mist Valley. Once per turn, when a wind monster is destroyed by a card effect and set to your graveyard except during the damage step, you can special summon one level 3 or lower wind monster from your hand or deck, but its effects are negated. Yeah, this thing has qualities, but it's a lot more limited than the Divine Wind, because first of all, the monster needs to be specifically destroyed by a card effect in order to, for the effect to be procced, and then you're restricted to summoning level 3 or lower winds, which in this case are Mist Valley Shaman, Thunderbird, Windmaster, and Baby Rock, and yeah. It's not limited to just Mist Valleys. You can summon any wind monsters, and yeah, I would say that your most ideal choice is special summoning Taketomborg, but the effects get negated, so you don't get the Taketomborg's brilliant search effect off of that. So yeah, it's not the best, but it certainly has a few uses here and there. Okay, so time for the grades. In terms of consistency, wind monsters usually don't have that much in terms of consistency as in for generic support, because yeah, it simply does not exist, and Mist Valleys rarely ever have any consistent playmakers for searching other than Divine Wind, which is, no matter how good it is, it's still not enough for this to be a 1 out any higher than 1 out of 3. Power exists in form of their bigger boss monsters. They're relatively easy to summon. Mist Valley Apex Avian is supremely easy to summon with pendulums, and yeah, he has very gargantuan stats. In fact, Mist Valley Apex Avian has the highest stats of all the Mist Valley monsters, so yeah. The potential is there. It's not, but it's not. It's rarely met to go into a full throttle for a 3 out of 3, but 2 out of 3 is perfectly fine here. In terms of comeback ability, it's very specific, and you need to get some very nice combos going with the self-bouncing you proceed to make. Hopefully, on the turn you make the comeback. So yeah, I'm gonna give him a 1 out of 3 there. Protection exists in form of Mist Valley Apex Avian, and that's about it. Yeah. No matter how good that kind of protection is, it's still not good to go past a 1 out of 3. Now, as for the versatility, I have to give him a 2 out of 3 because of Divine Winds and because of Zephyros the Elite, who is also extremely splashable. Mist Valley Apex Avian is a very nice generic boss monster. Falcon is a decent level 4 self-bouncer with decent stats. There are ways to go around building this deck, but we might need some other new support cards from the modern era to properly oil this old machine up in order to finally see some more competitive relevance. So yeah, and those were Mist Valleys. Yeah. Didn't really know what to expect with this one, since I had almost no experience with this archetype other than hearing Divine Wind stories and all that, and Mistworm and Apex Avian speak for themselves. So yeah, that was my thought and analysis on Mist Valleys. Stay tuned for the next archetype analysis. It's gonna be a bit longer than this one, but I trust you, it's going to be a very meme-festic one. I'll let you all in what I mean by that next time. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for more videos and updates. Comment, like, and subscribe. And as usual, I'll upload the next vid whenever I can. See you all. Have a good day and peace.